A lot of productive people have found a single hack to enhance their decision-making skills. This is called delayed gratification. And many of us have probably heard of this term before. Do you know what delayed gratification means? Well, when the first definition that pops up in our brain is not having something now, but being able to have something better in the future. And that's not a bad definition. It summarizes the same meaning of being able to resist immediate rewards now in favor of larger benefits in the future. And many people ask, what does delayed gratification do? And why is this so important? And to answer that question is being able to resist temptations. Delayed gratification will help you learn a lifelong skill. This skill is called sticking to long-term goals. And what I mean by this are goals that are not achievable in a day or a month or even a year. And we need to set goals that aren't too easy and not too hard. We want goals right in the middle. Easy goals can be easily done. Hard goals take up lots of time and maybe might even be impossible. So you need to find a perfect balance for which type of goals you need to set. Examples for this could be saving up for college in 10 years, having a savings account for retirement. The retirement might even be 20 to 30 years away, but it's really good to start saving early. Some other benefits of delayed gratification include enhancing self-control, which means resisting temptations. And the next benefit is having stronger finances by not spending money on unnecessary wants. Helping managing impulses also relates with self-control, since resisting from buying a new item or sacrificing on a better outcome in the future. And finally, encourages better judgment and decision-making. Because we all know that we make mistakes at certain points in our life, and we are constantly learning from these mistakes. And that's what helps us improve our decision-making skills in life. So, after discussing on why we should do delayed gratification, we need to know how to do delayed gratification. This is a question that's come up a lot, and many people ask, oh, well, yeah, I get what delayed gratification is, how to do delayed gratification, but I don't really understand the steps into doing it. So, I've defined it into 5 simple steps. Step number 1 is to define your long-term goal. What are you trying to achieve in the long run? This could be saving up for retirement, saving up for a house, a new car, or college. Step number 2 is to then break that big goal into smaller goals. And the reason I say this, it has always and will always be easier to achieve smaller tasks than bigger tasks. And it feels better to you when you complete more tasks rather than completing one big task. Step number 3 is to visualize the future benefits. The reason this is so important is to be understanding, okay, I'm putting so much effort into this, but why am I actually doing this? So that's why it's really important to be able to visualize the benefits that you might earn in the future. Step number 4 is to apply a 24-hour wait time before making big purchases. What I mean by this is that before spending a lot of money, wait 24 hours to make a decision about it. Chances are you might not want the item a day later. And finally, step 5 is to remove temptations that could affect your long-term goal. So if anything will make you change your decision or make you follow instant gratification, don't have it. A good example of this is, let's say you want to limit sugar consumption. Then don't have cookies, soda, or sugary foods in your house. And by not having these items, you're basically resisting from eating, drinking, or whatever you're trying to do. And you want to try to make sure that whatever comes in the way of your long-term goal, you're getting rid of it. Let me tell you a story. Imagine 5 kids alone in a room. They all have one plate in front of them, and each plate has a marshmallow on them. They've been told that they can wait for a certain time and they will get 2 marshmallows. But this is only for the kids who don't eat the marshmallow. Some of the kids eat the marshmallow and they fall for the instant gratification. Instant gratification is the opposite of delayed gratification. Instant gratification means falling for something right away and not waiting. And some of the kids wait the time and eventually get both marshmallows. This is an example of delayed gratification. And basically this shows that waiting for a better result will maybe make a better effect. And the story I just told you was a true story that had been first tested by Stanford University and then had been recreated by other scientists. And now we're going to transition into our second key concept. This is called the rule of 72. What this is a simple way to estimate how long it will take for an investment to double. We use the rule of 72 to figure out, okay, I have this much money, this is much percent I'm going to get per year, and this is how many years it will take me for my investment to double. The formula we use is to first find the annual rate of return. What I mean by this is figure out how many years it will take to double your money. So figure out your annual rate of return. Then you want to divide 72 by that rate. And the answer you will be left with is an approximation for how many years it will take for your money to double. Before I show any scenarios in which the rule of 72 can be used, it's important to know that the rule of 72 is a quick estimate and not an exact calculation. Some situations that the rule of 72 can be used in are in investments, debt, inflation, and let's do an example together. For investments, let's say we have $10,000 invested and we know we will get a return of 10% annually. Well then, we can use the rule of 72 and figure out that dividing 72 by 10 is our annual rate of return, we end up with 7.2 years for our investment to double. Now once again, it's important to note that this is an estimate and not an exact calculation. Many people ask why the rule of 72 will ever be useful to them in the real life. Well, it can estimate financial planning, estimate debt management, it can also estimate compounding. Compounding will be our third and final key concept for today. But before we continue on to the compounding section, I want to discuss the free Google Classroom additions we have with this video. After watching the video, if you haven't already joined our Google Classroom, you can join it in the description with the link and join code and follow up for some interactive activities that follow this video. Moving on to our final and probably my favorite topic of the day, it is power of compounding. What the power of compounding is, it is a concept that says the interest that you earn on your investment, you can put back into your investment to generate even more money over the long term. Since this is quite a long definition, I'll show an example. Let's say you start with $1,000 and you have 10% simple interest, which means you don't put your interest back into your investment. You'll end up with $4,000 in 30 years. This might seem a lot to you, but actually, just wait and see until what happens when you use compound interest. When you use compound interest, the same $1,000 with the same 10% compound interest over 30 years will end up with $174,494. Think about it. A small change like not collecting your interest right away can have so much of an effect on your money. Let me tell another story. There once was a traveler who visited a faraway land which was ruled by a king. The king was very fond of chess and would ask upon travelers to play a game of chess against him. So this traveler went up to the king and challenged him to a game of chess. The king asked him what he wanted if he won the game. the traveler simply asked for 1 grain of rice on the first square, 2 grains of rice on the second square, 4 grains of rice on the third square, and so on, doubling the grains of rice for each square of the board. Since the traveler was very skilled at chess, he easily beat the king, and as the king had promised to fulfill his prize, he started to count grains onto squares of the chessboard. But by the time the king made to the 12th square, he was shocked. He would need to put 2,048 grains of rice onto the 12th square. And by the 30th square, he would need 536 million grains of rice. And by the end of the whole board, 64 squares, he would need approximately 18,500,000 trillion grains of rice. That was 1,000 times greater than all of the milled rice production in the world. It was seemingly impossible. And this is surprising because the story ends with the king not being able to pay the rice and vowing to repay the debt over time. Summarizing the story, it talks about compounding. It talks about doubling the money and increasing the money per time. And this is a really good example of compounding. So, summarizing the way power of compounding works is by starting with the initial sum of money, earning interest on your investment, then reinvesting the interest back into your principal, and in the next period, you'll earn interest on your interest. And after many years, you'll have compounded your money. A few tips to have better success with compounding. 1. Start early, since the more time you have, the more years your money can compound. Be consistent. You need to be able to stick to your long-term goal, which is to not take the interest out of the investment. And third, to be patient, because it's not going to happen right away. This is something that takes up time. Summarizing what we talked about today, we discussed delayed gratification, which is to wait now for getting a better result in the future. We talked about the rule of 72, which discusses an estimate for being able to predict how long it will take for your money to double. And finally, we discussed how compounding works, what it is, and how we can get it to work. That is it for today, and feel free to look at the Google Classroom activities, as you can find a join code and link in the description below. Thank you.